Chapter 39. Mr. Praypen put his hands on his desk and stretched his spine left, then right. It had been a long day for him. On the corner of his desk were 2 stacks of papers that he still had to transcribe into his border control notebook before he could leave for the evening. One stack represented all the people who crossed the northern border out of Chitana province that day. The other stack was for all the people who had come in. The second stack was twice as tall. Praypen leaned over his desk and looked out his little square window. He sighed gratefully. There was only one person left to process, thank goodness. Next, he called. A girl who couldn't be much older than 12 or 13 approached his window. She set down her bag and walking stick, then slid her passport through the slot under the glass. "Good afternoon," said Praypen, opening the document. "Where are you off to today?" "To Lanabori, sir," replied the girl, without meeting his eyes. Praypen looked past her, into the waiting room. "Are you traveling by yourself?" The girl kept her head down so her short black hair fell over her cheeks. "Yes, my mother and siblings went on ahead of me. They're meeting me at the ferryboat station." Now she did look up at Praypen, and he noticed that her eyes were red and puffy, as if she'd been crying. She fidgeted, rubbing the fabric of her left sleeve between her fingers. The whole situation was a little suspicious, but the girl's passport was in good order, and she'd been approved to cross the border before. Besides, Praypen wanted to go home already. He had started to flip through her papers when his coworker slid into the chair beside him. Everyone in the office called her Shorty. "You still here, Praypen?" Shorty asked, smacking her chewing gum. "Time to shut down for the day, don't you think?" "Tell me about it," said Praypen. "We had so many people crossing into Chitana today, more than we've had in months." "Really? What for?" "Well, they all gave different reasons, but I can tell what they're actually here for, because they're all wearing black armbands." He lowered his voice a bit. "They're going to the city for that march." Shorty's eyes widened, impressed. "Really? But I heard that woman who was leading it, Ampai, was killed." Praypen nodded. "In that fire. So sad. Can you imagine if it had gotten out of control? It could have been like the Great Fire all over again." Shorty let out a slow whistle. "Hard to believe. But the people are going to march without her?" "Guess so." Praypen shrugged and kept flipping through the girl's passport. Flip, stamp. Flip, stamp. Shorty scratched the back of her head. "Are you going to go to the march?" Praypen paused mid-stamp. "Are you kidding? I don't want to get in trouble. If I got arrested, I'd lose this job. Then what?" "Aw, you wouldn't get arrested for walking across a bridge," said Shorty, leaning back in her chair. "As long as you don't cause any trouble, there's no law against it." "Not yet, anyway." "What's that supposed to mean?" Praypen leaned towards Shorty and said quietly, "At the central office this morning, I overheard that the governor is cracking down. After the fire, he's got no choice. He's changing the law to make marching a crime. If anyone shows up on that bridge, they're going straight to jail." Shorty leaned back, shocked. "But can he do that?" You know he does whatever he wants," said Praypen, stamping the last page of the passport. "And we just have to make do and keep on living. Now, hey, where'd she go?" The girl who'd been leaning at his window was gone. Praypen leaned over the desk and called into the waiting room, "Miss? Excuse me, miss?" "Now isn't that odd," he said, sitting back down. "I didn't even hear her leave."